Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Vaughn Lane. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking this morning. Get your questions in. We've got a lot to talk about today, guys, but first, let's start with it's spring practice number 2 today.
I very rarely start with coffee and football, but I actually have coffee this morning.
Hey, here's some for me, too. Take a sip.
Little Marriott coffee. Well, I'll let you know how this goes.
Got it. I got it.
Opening day of Major League Baseball too. But all right, let's start with spring practice because we'll get into Astros playing Muggsy Bogues in left field later.
Hey, you can play that little guy wherever you want to play him. He is the mighty might of Major League Baseball. That dude can do anything in my books. No, seriously, Texas has its second practice of the spring today. This morning they start around 9 o'clock. They were expected to have media availability. However, because of some slight rain in the Austin area, they're going to move that practice indoors. When they move the practice indoors, because of the current size of the bubble, they do not allow media to attend. So there will be no media availability today for the Longhorn media group, including ourselves. So we're going to have to rely on what we hear outside of that window. I would also say this, guys, as we look at this and talk about what we've got going on today. Sean Miller in the midst of the portal, some basketball things that have happened. Jerry, you're going to talk about for sure as far as staff and as far as portal is concerned. A lot of stuff going on. Texas Relay starts today. Tomorrow, Jalen Lott will be on campus, one of the big-time recruits that the Longhorns want, as well as some other guys, too. But a lot of stuff heading our way on a Thursday prior to what we've got coming up this weekend when the women play for a bid in the Elite Eight against the University of Tennessee down in Birmingham at 2:30 on Saturday afternoon.
All right, guys, one thing I wanted to bring up this morning is CBS actually came out they have the win totals, obviously, that have already been released for the SEC. But CBS broke it down team by team here.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to bring that up. We're going to start with Texas, of course. Let me fix this window. My apologies. And the over and under from Vegas is set at 9.5. And CBS takes the over. The only losses they have for the Longhorns are Ohio State and Georgia.
And I don't know about Ohio State now. I don't know about Georgia. Neither one of them have who are their quarterbacks. Do they even know? I guess Gunnar Stockton is for sure the Georgia quarterback, right, Jerry?
Yeah. Ohio State probably Julian saying.
Probably. That's what I'm saying. They've still got to go through this. I think the team that, if I had to pick a team that was most likely to beat Texas that is currently in the win column, Jerry, it would be Florida. That game's in the swamp. Derek Lagway will be healthy. I think they ended the year on a positive note. If there's a loss in that loss column predicted that I think Texas will win, it's Ohio State, and I don't think Texas. I mean, we'll see what happens with Georgia. I mean, Texas played Georgia straight up in Atlanta. I mean, either team could have won that game. So I'm not – Georgia's going to be a toss-up. Florida's the one that out of all that group that I feel has a little positive momentum.
Yeah, I think, look, Georgia's interesting because they probably lost more impact players than Texas did last year. And they've recruited really well. They also don't obey speed zones, but so you don't know who's actually going to be there. Hey, Bobby, serious question. Would Kirby Smart get to Sandestin from Athens faster driving with one of his players or flying? Chat, what do y'all think? Should Kirby just have one of his players drive him to Sandestin versus flying to save some time? But no,
given he takes a private jet, it is definitely flying. Otherwise, you should take Vaughn Lane.
I don't know, man. It's close. Hey, Tuggle was going 107, man. That'll get you anywhere pretty quick. But look, Florida, Lagway is limited this spring, which is so interesting with his shoulder. What's going on there? So I'm interested because he plays a physical brand of football. They're going to have to keep him healthy. Florida from an offensive firepower standpoint, if Eugene Wilson comes back healthy, J. Michael Sturdivant, I think, is really talented. They have 2 stud freshman receivers. So they're going to have more firepower offensively. Jaden Ball's a sophomore. If their offensive line holds up, they're offensively going to be a lot better than Georgia or Ohio State next year, in my opinion.
Let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. You taking the over or under on that 9.5?
I start 10-2, so I'm taking the over. I started 10-2 the last 2 years. I'm starting 10-2 again this year. And if you win at Ohio State, I'll adjust, just like the last couple of years. Alabama and Michigan. I said I'm starting at 10-2, and if you win that road game against a really good team, then I'll adjust from there.
I think
what I find interesting though at the last sentence, it says the toughest games on the schedule are Georgia and Florida. We see a path to 10 wins, but barely. But yet they have Texas beating Florida and losing to Ohio State. So interesting there.
Yeah, my take on that is I'm somewhat similar to Jerry. I just here's the reality. Like, after watching them that first practice, extraordinarily talented team, guys.
Yeah.
There's no doubt there's 30 NFL guys running around that field for Texas. I mean, there just is. Now, a lot of them are in the freshman class, a lot of them in the sophomore, not as many in the senior class. So they've got to grow up. And that's my only consternation, really, with this team is well, yes, I think they need probably a tight end. I think they need another receiver. I think they need another defensive tackle. Yeah, I mean, I think they need all these things. My only consternation with this team is how quickly are they going to grow up? Because once they grow up, they're freaking talented.
Yeah.
I mean, and so is that going to be 2 games into the season? Is it going to be 6 games into the season? Is it going to be 9 games into the season? Right? I mean, sometimes teams develop at different rates. And so I understand starting at 10-2, that's where I'd start myself. I agree with Jerry.
The interesting thing is, so the 3 games or the 3 teams that, we're talking about here in terms of the losses predicted, Georgia, Ohio State, and then Texas playing those. All 3 of those teams lose 4 offensive line starters. Georgia lost both guards, center, who both those guys, Ratledge and Wilson were stud athletes at the combine. They lost Truss at right tackle. They lose 4 starters on the offensive line. They return left tackle, who was injured, Ernest Green, part-time. Ohio State loses 4 or 5 starters. At some point, it's probably 5 starters from when their guys were healthy. So, look, they're all in the same boat on the offensive line too, which is interesting for those all 3 of those teams. And that's going to be something, obviously, that we'll be watching for which of these offensive lines, especially that game 1, Texas and Ohio State, which of these offensive lines that are replacing so many new starters, who's going to play best early in that game, because they're going to be playing against high-level athletes off the edge and in the front 7. Both of them.
Next, we're going to look at A&M over under is 7.5 from Vegas.
Woo!
And CBS going with under 7.5 wins with losses to Notre Dame, Arkansas, LSU, South Carolina, and, of course, Texas.
Wow.
Hey, can we bring in this question? Because I'm unfamiliar with what was said.
Yep.
Somebody asked, Holy Frioli asked this. Are y'all aware of any of this? Can y'all talk about Ruben Owens' comments?
Let me find you the quote.
I was out of it yesterday for a lot of the day. What did Ruben Owens have to say about Marcel Reed?
I have not seen this either.
Give me one set. Basically saying Ruben Owens said Marcel Reed has been throwing pretty good. He's just got to get more confident in throwing because he can throw the ball.
Okay.
I'll take the under. Give me the under. Hey, but let's look. I don't know.
Who has the personnel not to let Marcel Reed beat him running the football? Which of those teams have the personnel to not let Marcel Reed beat them running the football? Marcel Reed has been throwing pretty good. He's just got to get more confident in throwing because he can throw the ball. Yeah, that's not the biggest endorsement. They try to get better at receiver, and they probably are marginally better at receiver this year. Jerry, can you put that other graphic back up? Like, they are probably better marginally at receiver. But my take on it is if Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens are both healthy, they're going to find a run game at some level. Those are really talented running backs. Marcel Reed can run the ball. It's going to be the teams they're going to lose to are going to be the teams that can stop Marcel Reed in that run game. That's just the bottom line. Because as much as you want to sit here and say, oh, well, they've got some offensive linemen coming back, they should be better. I think they were way too hit and miss in 2024 on offense and defense.
I hadn't looked at A&M's schedule until now. Joe Z looks at their schedules. But I haven't looked at their schedule before now. They actually have a really tough schedule next year at Notre Dame because of their road games. I mean, it's at Arkansas, returning quarterback, at LSU, Nussmeier, at Texas. Obviously, that's a loss. At Missouri, I mean, we'll see. But I mean, look, those are road games. They have some tough road games. Missouri got a quarterback in the portal, but then they still have Florida, Lagway, and then they have South Carolina. Obviously, that guy can give you real issues if you don't play sound football in your front seven, assignment football. I don't know. Somebody asked who's Notre Dame's starting quarterback. They're deciding they like both of their guys, but I don't think anybody knows who the starter is going to be. By the way, Auburn's already hyping up their quarterback transfer, so they're putting
Arnold.
They're already putting all the pressure in the world on the guy, and it's see how that goes for him. But A&M's got a tough schedule. I got to tell you, if they lose to Notre Dame to start the season, I would probably take the under. If they don't win that game, that's a tough SEC schedule for them.
I'll just say take the under.
Yeah,
I'm not. It's look.
Sorry, Bob.
A lot of people talking about what they have coming back, and that's all well and good. They didn't do so great with what they had coming back last year. And they finished, as somebody put there, they finished 1-4 to finish the season. They're going to lose to Texas. They're going to lose to South Carolina. They're going to lose to LSU. They're going to lose to Notre Dame. I don't know if they'll lose at Arkansas. I think Auburn's at best a toss-up for them. I think Florida is a likely loss for them. I think they likely beat Missouri. So I'm a little bit different than this CBS thing. Like, I don't think Arkansas has the personnel to beat A&M. I just don't. I think that Auburn does. I think Florida does. And I think they likely lose to those two.
Yeah. And our last one that we're going to look at today, guys, is, of course, Oklahoma. Vegas has it at 6.5.
Wow.
And they are taking over 6.5, but have losses to Michigan, Texas, Tennessee, and Alabama.
I mean, I would flip LSU and Michigan. I would put South Carolina in a loss.
Yeah, South Carolina's a loss with that quarterback. Hey, and Auburn's likely
brutal schedule.
Yeah, that is hard. They've got to win against LSU.
Well, I mean, look, here's the bottom line. If Jackson Arnold rolls into Norman and beats Oklahoma, Brent Venables will be fired after the game.
I've got to ask y'all, is Michigan going to be appreciably different next year just because they have a freshman quarterback?
I
know he's good, but
I don't. Dude, they're losing Graham and
Grant. Yeah,
and Grant and Josiah Stewart. I mean, they're losing a lot. That national championship team is about 85% gone amongst the key guys. Will Johnson. I don't know. It wouldn't show. I would flip that. I'd have Michigan as a win. I'd have at South Carolina as a loss. I'd probably have LSU as a loss. So I guess that means I'm taking the under narrowly. If they beat narrowly the under. I mean, that's a brutal schedule.
Have Alabama a loss. I'll just put that. How do you have Alabama lost? They don't have. They're losing a quarterback that some people are wanting to go late in the first round these days. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Now, here's the question. Here's the question off of that. How many wins does Brent Venables have to put on the board to keep his job?
Has to be 7 with a win over Texas. He goes 7-5 with a loss to Texas. He's hit the road, Jack.
Yeah.
I mean, he wins 8 and loses to Texas. He's got a chance to keep his job. 7 though, and unless he beats Texas, he's gone. I mean, yeah. Sooners will run through coaches now faster than the Longhorns historically. Like they just do it early. So I think that's going to be interesting. Hey, we need to tell everybody about our friends over at Vaughn Lane. I mentioned them earlier today. They are the executive. I say executive. They're for everybody, but it feels like you're flying private because they attend to you so well. You've tried flying. Now try driving. It's time to upgrade to Vaughn Lane, the smarter way to travel between major Texas cities. Let's face it, flying is a hassle. Security lines, packed gates, delayed flights. I dealt with it on Tuesday afternoon. I literally waited in the Austin TSA line for 45 minutes, and I have the TSA pre-approved, so it was ridiculous. And it's all for a 50-minute flight. If you're going to another Texas city, not worth it. Driving by yourself isn't much better. Even ever tried a same-day round trip between Dallas and Austin? That's lost hours of productivity, emails piling up, calls going unanswered, and work left undone while you focus on the road. Why waste the day when you can stay connected and productive with Vaughn Lane? Vaughn Lane changes everything. It's luxury regional bus travel that what some call a private jet on wheels. Sink into a plush leather seat with a leg rest. Stay connected with complimentary Wi-Fi. Enjoy snacks, drinks on every trip, all complimentary, plus delicious meals on select departures. If you need to freshen up, indulge in their hot towel service, want to relax, they've got eye masks, pillows, blankets, all to keep you cozy. Vaughn Lane team takes care of every detail so you can sit back, unwind, and enjoy the most comfortable travel experience on the road. Business travelers, recapture your productivity. Leisure travelers, if you're coming into Austin or leaving to go to Houston or Dallas or San Antonio this weekend, sit back, relax, and get pampered. And if you're planning a football game, concert, or special event, you can charter your own Vaughn Lane coach. All you have to do is give them a shout for the ultimate group experience. Vaughn Lane is first-class travel without hassle. See for yourself. Visit vaughnlane.com. That's VONLANE.com and use promo code OTF25 for your first $20 on your first trip for $20 off. That's OTF25 for $20 off your very first trip.
Thank you, Bobby. And up next, guys, let's talk a little recruiting. Jerry, I know you put some news over on OnTexasFootball.com recently. What's the latest there?
Well, we're talking about a Jet Washington, safety out of Bishop Gorman, nephew of the late Kobe Bryant, one of the top two sport players in the country. We talked to somebody on the West Coast yesterday and confirmed the rumor that we've been hearing that Jet Washington is scheduled to visit Texas unofficially for the first time in early April. There's 7 oh boy. Whoa. That guy got smoked. Jeez. I hadn't watched this honestly for a while. I hadn't watched it since December. I forgot that guy got knocked out, but he plays in a 7-on-7 tournament in our first weekend in April in Dallas. Oh my gosh, that guy's out too. That was St. Thomas Aquinas, by the way. And then he's supposed to come down to Austin for a couple-day visit there. So this will be his first time on campus. But Johnny Nansen went out to see him in January. Texas absolutely loves him, as does everybody else in America. You can see why. This isn't your average 6'4.5" guy running around playing safety. Also a Division I basketball prospect is leaning to football. I had 5 interceptions as a junior, 2 as a sophomore, but a guy that's considered one of the top prospects in the country, a top 30 level prospect in America. Everybody's after him, USC, Oregon, Texas A&M, Georgia, you name it, but scheduled to be on campus Everybody's saying Musket, this dude is dangerous. Yeah, it's the hide the women and children highlight tape right here, Bobby. But what are your initial thoughts on him?
Well, I mean, look, Texas is – here's my initial thought. What's Texas doing recruiting a guy in Las Vegas, right, that is going to be the apple of everyone's eye? Well, that's where Texas recruiting is in 2025.
Yeah.
That's – so, like, when you first told me about this guy, you're like, Texas is going on him hard, yada, yada. We talked about it. And I was like, okay, why this is Texas has done really well over the years, typically staying in the state of Texas for DB. So I'm like, what's the need? But the reality of life right now for Texas Longhorn fans is this. Texas is a national recruiting brand, and they are recruiting nationally. And it feels to me a lot like Ohio State. They're going to try to take 7, 8, 9, 10 guys from the state of Ohio a year, and the rest they're going to go cherry pick the best they can find in the country. And so I think it's a little bit of a fundamental change that we're going to see go down over the next, 2 years, basically. That's what's happening right now, in my opinion. Texas is going in. It's not just Georgia and Florida anymore, right, Jerry? It's California that we've talked about. It's Las Vegas. They got Ryan Wingo out of St. Louis. They're getting ready. There's guys they've offered up in New Jersey this year.
Yeah.
Texas is getting ready to make that switch from going from primarily Texas and some Southeast states, in my opinion, to Katie bar the door. We're going to go all over the country for the best that we see, period.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Johnny Nansen coming on this staff did for Texas. Yes, he's a SoCal guy. He has years and years of recruiting in Las Vegas. He also will recruit Salt Lake City in that area too in the future, I believe, if there's a tremendous player like a Jet Washington level player that they have interest in. So we'll see where it goes. But look, do we expect Texas to have the possibility to get an official visit after this early April visit? Yes, we do. Are we guaranteeing it? Is Texas leading? Somebody asked. I don't know on that. But Brandon Huey said it's too early for me on that. He's never been to campus before. Brandon Huey said Derwin James. And I actually had that the first time I ever watched him. I saw Derwin James in high school at Auburndale, then in the Under Armour game. He is a 2.5 inch version, taller version of Derwin James in a lot of ways. That's pretty good, Brandon Huey. I mean, there's some similarities there, having seen Derwin James in person. Derwin James is a hell of a player, man. Oh, by the way, Jalen Lott, Bobby mentioned it earlier. If you're in Austin and you're going to attend the Texas relays, weather permitting, how far they get behind, you got to check texassports.com and find the qualifiers and the schedule for the Texas relays. Jalen Lott will compete in the 110 hurdles, the high jump, and the long jump. Scheduled all three of those on Friday. If he qualifies for the finals in the 110 hurdles, that'll be Saturday. And then he will go over and talk to Steve Sarkisian and the staff, defensive staff, but he can't until after the conclusion of his events at the track meet. That's the NCAA rule with that. Why do we still have NCAA rules? I don't know. But that's the schedule for Jalen Lott coming in town. He should be in town later today, but he has 3 events on Friday. The times, he's got to check the times if you go to Texas relays. But it was funny. I talked to his dad yesterday about, and then we got to get James on to talk about his reaction to his son high jumping 7 feet. I won't really go into it, but it was pretty interesting, just his thoughts on it, because he was like, it just kind of happened. James told the story here on Winning Drive with us one day, or I think it was Winning Drive, about how it just kind of happened for him, and he said it was very similar with Jalen, because Jalen's not a guy that studies high jump necessarily, and necessarily dialed in on the 100% of the technique in high jump. He said it just kind of happened. He arched his back at the right time. He said it surprised him because he had been 6'8", 6'9", so that was a significant move to 7 feet, especially in his junior year. So we'll get James on here to talk about that coming up. Well, next week maybe after Texas relays.
Good stuff. We got a lot of people asking about Basketball.
Yeah.
Jerry, like Nathan here, says, can you give a rundown of this on the state of the basketball program? TJ is wondering if you have any men's basketball news. What's the
Absolutely. So we've heard 3 members, and there will be more, but 3 members for sure. And I think it'll actually be 5 off the Xavier staff will be coming to Austin for sure. And I say this because Adam Cohen is associate head coach at Xavier. Is coming to Texas, and David Miller, who was a longtime assistant of his at Arizona, now at Xavier, whose dad was coaching the NBA in college, actually coached at Texas back in the day. I haven't been able to put together that timeline for when his dad coached at Texas as an assistant, but those guys will for sure be coming to Texas. And why that's important is those guys are doing a lot of the bulk of the recruiting in the portal. Sean Miller is having meetings with the current Texas players. Obviously, Devon Pryor went into the portal yesterday. I expect more guys to go into the portal. I just like, I think there's certain fits and not fits. I mean, it's a different coaching staff and different expectations. And the guys that maybe Sean Miller and his staff want to try to bring in here. And that could, like I said this on a message board. I was like, on TexasFootball.com. Look, if Sean Miller goes after Dalen Swain, then that's not good for Devon Pryor, because Swain and him are essentially going to play the same spot in Sean Miller's system. So they're little different players, but they're essentially going to play the same spot. So that is those are some of the things that are going to happen, like who Texas goes after in the portal. Well, I think when you start to see other Texas players jump in the portal, it'll make sense after you see who Sean Miller and the staff go after in the portal. But I expect the strength coach, Andy Kettler, to come as well. He was a long-time strength and conditioning coach at West Virginia before Huggins retired, and he came to Xavier for Sean Miller. Cam Miller, obviously his son, was a director of ops at Xavier. He's coming. We don't know what capacity yet. We don't think anything's. And Ryan Reynolds was a special assistant to the head coach. We think he's coming, but the two I have confirmed right now is Adam Cohen and David Miller, and that's just because those are the guys that are really kickstarting the portal recruiting process for Texas. But I think we're days away from any official announcements from Texas on that. So we'll see what happens there. As far as recruiting wise, look, it's they're starting to make contact with guys that are in the portal, and look, they're going to make contact with a lot of guys in the portal. I'm waiting on who's actually going to visit, because I know one of the things people like is, Texas has contacted this guy or this guy or this guy, and then there's a list of 35 schools that contacted somebody. I'm waiting for it to go from vetting to, all right, guys are going to visit. Then it gets real. There's a lot of guys who, and it's all staffs, they contact 30 or 40 guys and have initial phone call or Zoom or whatever with these guys to see if it's actually even a fit. And then you call the agent and see if it's actually a fit with your NIL too. So we will see how quickly things develop. Somebody asked on Texas football earlier, does Texas have any visitors this weekend? Nothing we've heard yet, but that does not mean they won't. I just want to say
you're talking about for basketball.
For basketball, yeah.
Football does have some, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Basketball, we'll see. So,
do you think they're going to get Devon Pryor? You mentioned going in the portal, Jerry. Do you think that means they're likely to get the young man from Xavier that put his name?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't know yet. So the hard thing with look is some of the prices are going to go down, but some of this stuff is out of whack right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, then the other part of this is I'm interested to see is Sean Miller going to go after more 2-year guys in the portal versus 1-year guys, potential 1-year guys? Because that's what's going to be interesting to see for me. And I don't have the answer, honestly. We'll see where that goes because that's big. That's big as well. Look, you want to be good in year one, but you want to build too. So that's going to be interesting to see which direction they go.
All right, guys. We got a tweet I actually want to bring up here from Sam Spiegelman of Rivals, and he says Rivals #1 running back Xavier Crowell is back at Texas today, making his first visit since Chad Scott was tabbed as the Longhorns' new head coach. I'm also going to play his film, and Jerry, let you talk about that for a second.
Well, yeah, we had that. We'd had this on TexasFootball.com. He's visiting today, the 27th, through Saturday. It will leave Saturday at some point, Saturday the 29th. So this is his first time back on campus. He really likes Texas, and then the official visits are going to be huge for him because look, it's Georgia May 30th through June 2nd, Texas the 6th through the 8th. Auburn the 13th through the 15th, and Alabama the 20th through 22nd. So that this is a real deal bloodbath SEC recruitment for one of the top running backs in the country. How much does he like Texas? Obviously, he had a very emotional reaction when Jashard Choice left, but then it shows you how much he likes Texas. That it took one phone call from Chad Scott for him to set up the unofficial visit and lock back in with his official visit. So he's been on campus twice before with his mom, both times, but he will be on campus for a 2.5 day unofficial visit, which he gets in today, and he will leave on Saturday. And these are some big visits coming up for Texas, like with Samari Matthews, the corner that's also making official out of North Carolina, the corner Cameron Hamil out of Arizona. The guys who are coming on campus or meeting the new assistant coaches for the first time. These are some big visits coming up for Texas. Now, Xavier Crowell is going to take the official visit, obviously, but you have some of the other guys like the Cameron Hamil, the corner out of the Phoenix area. He's never been on campus before. If that visit goes well with Mark Orfe and the staff, he's likely to set up an official visit to Texas. So these spring official visits, unofficial visits, they aren't big in the decision-making part for these kids, but they're going to be big. Jet Washington, these are going to be big visits for Texas, then scheduling and locking in official visit dates. And in some cases, you're going to have to bump somebody's official visit for another school's official visit to get these kids on campus in June. With Crowell, you don't have to do that. But with some of these guys coming in and this weekend or first 2 weeks in April, that's going to be kind of the plan, is have a really good unofficial visit and then bump somebody's official visit and get one of those 3 weekends in June.
Booby Feaster expected to be in this weekend as well. That's the wide receiver out of DeSoto. Texas, and we talked about this, Isaiah Crowell is ranked the number 1 running back in the country by some national services, Jerry. He's a year ahead. He reclassified. Booby Feaster out of DeSoto reclassified. Mark Bowman, the tight end out of Santa Ana Mater Dei, reclassified. Texas is in on all of these guys that are skipping ahead a year, essentially. So I will say this. Blake knows this. There's a rule about Xavier Crowell on this channel, is that when we mention his name, we automatically have to play his highlights because Bobby Burton likes them so much. He is a fantastic young running back wherever he goes.
Yeah.
This
is one of those recruitments you're either getting him or playing against him. Bottom line.
I'll just put it this way. You'll go through it and we'll see this. There ain't a Xavier Crowell every year. I'm just going to put that out there. That's my opinion. So
we got more to talk about, and we got to get to a lot of your questions here shortly. But first, I'm going to let you know about Huel. And I'm always on the go. With 3 kids, I'm always busy, which means a lot of the time I just can't find the time to sit and prepare a meal and then cook it. Every morning, I'm scrambling, trying to get the kids ready, get them sent off to school. Then I'm rushing to get ready for coffee and football. And that doesn't exactly leave a lot of time for breakfast. But that is where Huel comes in. Their Black Edition ready to drink is a meal in a bottle. There's no prep, no hassle. I grab it from the fridge. I'm all set. But it's not just for breakfast. It gets me going anytime during the day when I just can't find the time to eat. Honestly, it's a lifesaver. I try and eat and drink well, and Huel checks all the boxes for me. It's high in protein. It contains all 27 essential vitamins and nutrients to support my immune system, and it's low in sugar with only 6 grams per bottle. It also tastes good, and there's multiple flavors to choose from, including vanilla, chocolate, iced coffee, and strawberry banana. Personally, I like vanilla and iced coffee the best, but I know that you'll find something that you love as well. And Huel is going to hook OTF listeners up New customers just visit Huel.com/OnTexas today and use promo code OnTexas to get 15% off your first order, and they're going to give you a free gift. That's Huel, HUEL.com/OnTexas using promo code OnTexas for that 15% off and a free gift. And Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Ridge Wallet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Ridge Wallet. Jerry asked me about this. We were at the hotel the other day before the first practice, and I whipped this out. It's my new wallet. It's called Ridge Wallet. If you're still carrying around the same bulky, overstuffed, and let's be honest, crusty leather wallet like my grandfather had, heck, my dad still has it, guys. Got to be honest. It's time for an upgrade. Meet Ridge Wallet, the sleek minimalist wallet that's changing the game. Ridge wallets are extremely thin, yet securely hold up to 12 cards plus cash without adding any unnecessary bulk. It's good because when you have your you just had your wallet and keys. Now you've got your wallet, your keys, and your cell phone you have to carry. The less weight in the pockets, the better, if you know what I mean. Made from premium high-performance materials like carbon fiber, titanium, and stainless steel, Ridge wallets are built to last. In fact, they come with a lifetime warranty, meaning this is the last wallet you'll ever need to buy. And it's not just about looks. Sitting on a bulky wallet tilts your pelvis, misaligns your spine, and can lead to chronic lower back pain. A slimmer Ridge wallet helps keep your posture balanced and your back pain free. Plus, every Ridge wallet comes with an RFID blocking technology to protect you from digital pickpockets. That's right. Scammers can now scan your pockets and steal your credit card info wirelessly. Ridge has you covered. For a limited time, our listeners are getting 10% off your entire order when you use code OnTexas. That's 10% off when you use promo code OnTexas at ridge.com/OnTexas. Right now, Ridge is having their once-a-year anniversary sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com using OnTexas as the promo code. Again, biggest sale of the year over at ridge.com.
All right. Thank you, Bobby. And we got a few super chats that we need to jump over to. So I am going to bring up this one here from Jack. Thank you, Jack, as always. We appreciate it. What position group or groups can rival anyone in the country by game? How could that change by playoff time?
Edge pass rush,
Linebacker
is up there. Linebacker is going to be up there for sure.
Safety.
Potentially safety.
Derek Williams, Michael Taft, Jelani McDonald.
Yeah, Derek Williams comes back if he's the same player. Some of the young guys. Punter.
I got Bob was one that we're missing. Jerry Hamilton.
We'll see.
Quarterback. Would you trade what quarterback group in the country would you trade for what Texas has?
Oh, he means group. Yeah. Well, it's inexperienced but talented.
I know. So is there one that you would really trade for right now?
Well, nobody really has an experienced backup anymore.
I know. That's what I'm at.
Yeah.
I love where the quarterback room is right now. So
yeah.
I think they got 3 guys that will be eventual starters. Maybe not all at Texas, to be fair. But and they may have a 1-1 guy in Arch Manning, in my opinion. There are quite a few that are among the best. I will say this. I think that the offensive line is – I don't know if the offensive line can get there, but they're not going to be far off either this year. Not going to be far off.
I would say I would think the number one position, like right now, is edge. If you were saying – and I know Trey Moore's working at linebacker some this spring, but he's kind of – just have him as a hybrid, kind of like a Brad Spence type. The edge position because of the versatility and the linebacker position because of the versatility. Texas front seven is going to on the edges, and at linebacker I think is going to be really, really good.
I'm all Jerry's. Look, Ethan Burke, Colin Simmons are both. They're going to be long-term NFL guys, as long as they stay healthy. Okay. Colton Vosick in limited reps, if he can just get healthy.
Ever.
And, I mean, Zena, we were talking yesterday on State of the Program, me, Jerry, and CJ. I mean, two of us picked Zena Umeozulu as a surprise of how well he looked yesterday. I mean, Lance Jackson, I mean, he carries 270 pounds like it's 220. I mean, they're just they have some dudes now. They have some dudes. Hey, by the way, talking about Pleasant, and I'm sorry to get away from our regularly scheduled programming here, Jerry. But we got a chance on Tuesday afternoon to talk with Smith Orogbo, the Texas defensive end edge prospect. He's sitting out this spring, obviously, because he's still recovering from a knee procedure that he had his senior year of high school. But what a pleasant young man.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He sat there and he was in a group of people talking. There was an agent there that's a highfalutin agent. And he was just talking, and just a nice young guy, dude. Real pleasant. I know he's a very good football player and all that stuff, but it was fun to see that kind of young man be part of the University of Texas. He's going to be a guy I'm going to be watching in particular, because I kind of liked him as a person. You know what I mean?
He's awesome.
Got in there, had a big smile on his face. Nothing, he's going through all this turmoil with his knee, but he still had a good presence about him, and a positive one.
And one of the funnier but serious recruiting stories from last cycle was, I was at Hastings, and I'm not going to name the team it was, but so his dad is extremely, extremely academic minded, as in like that. A coach at Hastings said, when all the college coaches were coming through, if you don't start the conversation with academics and carry on academics for a few minutes, if you start with football, then you haven't done your homework on Smith Orogbo and his father. There was one college that when they came and sat down with him, and this was January, obviously, of junior year, when they came in and started the conversation with football, his dad got up and walked out of the room, and they were done. Like, it was pretty funny, because that's something I'd never heard before necessarily. And he was like, if you didn't listen and understand, if you didn't listen to the Hastings staff and understand where you start the conversation in this recruitment, you were done, period. And somebody was done, period. And I'm not going to name the school, because, look, it could be miscommunication. You just never know. I don't want to embarrass somebody, but that was one of the funnier and real things that you just don't hear about in the 25 cycle.
All right. Taylor Johnson here with the super chat. Did Freddie DeBose not see a path to the field?
I would say that, so without divulging all the things that we know, okay, I think it'd probably be best to say it was a mutual decision. Maybe driven one way over the other. But I don't think they want to talk about it much publicly. But we reported this yesterday morning. Freddie DeBose no longer on the team. Young man finished his career at Smithson Valley, started it at Schertz Clemens. Wide receiver, got injured his junior year and never really got to be the same. Had some issues come up over the Christmas holidays. Is now no longer part of the team. For whatever reason, Texas was not and did not comment publicly on that. And I think that's probably the best. Let's wish Freddie DeBose the best for himself wherever he ends up next.
And then Mike Gosnell with the super chat. Thank you, Mike. Where do things stand with John Turntine? Is Texas losing momentum there, Jerry?
That recruitment will be decided with the June visits. A&M, Tennessee, Texas are your June visits right now. No, I think that was that we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I mean, look, I think Texas is at least a 50-50 shot there, which they are with a lot of the offensive linemen in the class. It's fun discussions with offensive linemen in this class on message boards or whatever, but because they're in on so many really good players. And I think Texas is going to come with a 5 or 6 man offensive line class that is terrific. How it all plays out, I don't have the answer to right now, because if some guys commit early or then others, that could affect how some others are looking at it late. How Kyle Flood and Sark piece is not the right word, build this class is going to be very interesting to watch. But I can tell you that John Turntine's a great player, and Texas wants him badly.
And then
Turntine's not a good player. He's a great player. People that fall for all the measurables talk and all this in the recruiting industry, don't do it, guys. Quandre Diggs was too short. Byron Murphy was too short. Puna Ford was too short. You want me to keep going? The guy's
Kelly Banks isn't big enough. Can't play left tackle.
Don't fall for it. John Turntine's a great football player.
I love it, Jerry. I love when
I view him the same way I did Quandre Diggs coming out of high school. Great football player, period.
There you go.
Sorry, clicked on the wrong thing there. All right, next super chat comes from Side of Ranch. Thank you for the super chat. Can we kick off an OTF mug fun for Blake? What was that turd he held up at the start? LOL. Send it, Bobby.
Oh, that's not bad. That's a good-looking mug.
That's what I'm drinking out of today. I don't know.
Look, hey, by the way, we still have mugs and hats available at On Texas Football. Just go to the merch link on there. We have some still available for this year. But Blake, I've sent you a mug and hats and everything else, dude. I didn't send you a mug.
No mug, Bobby Burton. No mug.
Hey, by the way, chat, today's opening day of Major League Baseball. Blake didn't have the gonads to wear his Rangers shirt today.
Whoa. Hold on now. For the record,
chicken salad for dinner and chicken for breakfast.
Oh, that's bull. I only have one Rangers shirt. I coached my youngest son's T-ball team, or the Rangers that we played Tuesday night. It's in the washer.
Hey, question.
You only have one shirt that says Rangers on it, and you're a Rangers fan?
I got like 50 baseball shirts, but only one Rangers shirt. I'm wearing a baseball shirt right now.
There you go.
Look, I serious question. Obviously, Jose Altuve is a Hall of Fame baseball player. I think he's a great player. Again, measurables, doesn't have it, blah, blah, blah. Great player, Hall of Famer. If he plays left field, is he the shortest left fielder in the history of MLB, though? And I'm serious when I ask that, because he's 5'4.5", 5'5" max. Well, he is.
He lifted 5'6".
Yeah, on his driver's license, but that means you know how this goes, Bobby. If he went to the Under Armour Combine, he's 5'4 7/8 without shoes on.
Yeah, and he still hits 300.
No, but I'm asking
30 bombs a year.
No, he's a Hall of Fame player. But seriously, is he going to be the shortest outfielder in the history of Major League Baseball?
Whoa. He won't be because me and my little trivia knowledge self. Back in the day, there's a guy named Eddie Goodell that played.
Yeah, I was just about to bring this up.
St. Louis Cardinals.
Look at that. 3-7.
Yeah. They did that so they could get a walk. It was Bill Veeck, the former GM for them, thought it would be a stunt. And his son, actually, I think it was, went on to be the White Sox GM. And did things, or the Cubs GM, I can't remember, and did a bunch of crazy baseball things by the way, banana-ish, I guess.
Do we know if Michael Early has 7 of those guys so he can score some runs this weekend? So he can send to the plate and just get a bunch of walks?
So A&M can
Early
clean up.
Texags might want to show that to Early. It may be a good way to get a win in SEC. I don't know.
In all seriousness, you mentioned the Rangers and Astros going after it today. Both of them are at home, by the way. I think the Rangers start at 3:05 they host the Red Sox. The Astros host the Mets today at 3:10 at the Juice Box. I guess it's a new name for the Astros stadium this year. But we'll see whether or not either of those teams, we're talking about them 6 months from now, because what they do between now and September really won't matter other than get ready for the playoffs. We'll see where it goes. It's going to be an interesting year. The Astros have to replace 2 guys that have been there through the entire run, Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman. So that's going to be really, I mean, yes, they did okay in the free agency market to replace those guys with some bats. Cam Smith is this rookie outfielder that the Astros have a lot of hope for that they got in the Kyle Tucker trade. But my point being that we're going to see exactly how much of the heart and soul Bregman and Tucker were. It's a metaphor maybe for other teams that lose their heart and soul. You know what I mean? And how they perform after the fact. We talk about that a lot with Texas football when they lose a Byron Murphy and a Tavondre Sweat 2 years ago. That's kind of they were really good at defensive tackle. That was the best thing they were good at. When they lose those guys, how do they? Well, now they're going to be moving on from Quinn Ewers, 3-year starter quarterback. They've had these older wide receivers each of the last 2 years, whether it was Worthy and Mitchell or Golden and Bond. I think there's a little bit of a metaphor for Texas right now. When you have 13 or 14 NFL players drafted, losing the real guts of your team, I think Texas is going to. We'll see if the Longhorns have something similar to deal with this offseason. I am, and I know this is a long ramble by me and try to tie this all together, but I was so encouraged by what I saw on Tuesday athletically. And Jerry and I talked about this immediately following. It's like everywhere you look, there's a dude, okay, or a guy that's a future NFL player on the Texas roster. Every single position, there's somebody, okay? How does it all come together? Who's going to have the spine to step up? Now, we know guys like Anthony Hill are there, right, that are going to show some leadership. But when and where, I mean, is Arch Manning, is he going to be able to step into that role sooner than maybe some people think? I tend to think he will, by the way, just based on how he practices. Dude, that guy's a good practicer, Jerry. You know what I mean by that? Like
Always has been.
Yeah, he's a good. So I feel confident about this Texas team in football right now after what I saw. I'm just wondering who's going to fill that void. And it's Jahdae Barron, for example. That's a 3 or 4 year guy.
Yeah.
How do you fill that void? That's kind of the face of the team. You got Michael Taft coming back. That's great. But they just got a lot of young guys they got to kind of meld together. Really talented. Jesus.
All right, Jerry, if you'd be so kind to let us know about Factor.
Yeah, you want to talk about really talented, the people that make these meals. Are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has you covered. Their chef-made gourmet meals make eating, easy, very easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So you can feel right, feel great, no matter what life throws at you. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored for your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Speaking of keto, you can lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto meals. This is based on a randomized controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto. Results obviously vary depending on your diet and exercise as well. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/Texas50off and use that code Texas50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code 50 Texas50off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first order.
Thank you for that, Jerry. And I need to give a thank you to Texas Operator 69 for this super chat. We appreciate you. He says, big fan, guys, but who's running back 1 and running back 2?
All right. To do this, Jerry, take Cedric Baxter out of the equation.
Right.
Okay. Because Cedric Baxter could be 1, 2, or nowhere involved based on his injury. We hope he's back by the start of the season. Sark seems to be somewhat confident he will be, but take him out of it. Based on what you saw strictly on Tuesday, who would be 1 and 2 for you? Weiser for me would be 1.
Reisner's one, and Jarrett Gibson's two, and you see how Christian Clark does this spring. And look, he looked great in non-contact. What's he going to look like in contact? But I think right now your 1-2 is Wisner and Gibson, and you see where Christian Clark's health goes, and you see how quick James Simon makes his adjustment. Ricky Stewart's on that Trey Wisner, I think, runway of tremendously talented guy, needs a year to build up his body. He looks so similar. We talked about it. In high school, he looked so similar frame-wise coming out of high school to Wisner. It's going to take him a little time to add the weight to his frame. But I think right now you're talking about Wisner, Gibson, Clark, Simon, and Stewart in that order. And we'll see what Clark looks like as the spring moves along once they start contact. And we'll see how quickly James Simon picks things up.
Taking back. All right. I agree with Jerry. That's exactly where it is right now. Okay. My prediction would be Clark 2 at the end of spring or going into the fall camp. I think he's going to make a move. Got a real strong feeling on that because I think that he provides something that Jarrett Gibson, I thought, would be better at. I thought Jarrett Gibson would be better at inside zone. And I just don't think he's a natural inside zone guy, Jerry. So I'm going to go opposite of Jerry a little bit. I think Clark is going to make a quicker move. I'll just put it out there. We'll see. I mean, and I will say this, I'll happily be wrong because people are saying, oh, you like Christian Clark better than Jarrett. Look, I'm about the name on the front of the jersey.
Yeah.
Not the name. I'm not rooting for any of these players over one another. I'm rooting for Texas to be the best it can be. That's my opinion. And I will say this: Brandon Huey's talking about that Achilles tear. I think it was a partial tear,
not a full rupture.
Gary's been talking about that. Otherwise, a full tear, you're just not coming back in 9 months or 6 months or whatever it is. The one thing I would say that based on some things I heard behind the scenes, Clark was already, before that injury, he was already getting some run ahead of Gibson in fall camp. And so when I tell you that it really hurt Texas last year to lose their number 1 and number 3 running back, that's kind of what happened. Or at 1 and 4 running back, they ended up playing with 2 and 5 or 2, 3, and 5. So that's my opinion. We'll see.
And by the way, I'm the same. I'm the same on that. I'm reserving. With Clark, you got to now get hit. And you got to go through the process.
Fair, and we all agree. I mean, look, they're talented. These guys are talented, but you want to know who 1 and 2 are? That's who I think it will be. I could be wrong.
Our next super chat, fellas, comes from Slick Rick. And thank you, Slick. He says, can't believe y'all didn't bring up Bolden's diving catch at Pro Day. Also, Jerry, Mark Bowman got predicted to Texas. And what are your thoughts on that?
Mark Bowman, Caden Finley was supposed to commit to Notre Dame in January. The NIL discussions have yet to truly begin with a lot of these kids. So I'm big on let's see what happens down the road when this stuff really gets real. Because what if one school values somebody much more higher than another? Then doesn't matter what people predict it. It just doesn't matter. Do I think Texas has a really good shot at Mark Bowman, legitimate shot? Absolutely. Texas, Georgia, probably Oregon. I was told the day he reclassed officially, somebody told me they thought it would come down to Texas and Georgia for him. Tremendous prospect. Obviously, his father has ties to the state of Texas, to Austin. He will be back on campus again this spring. We don't have the date on that. And then he'll make the official visit June 6th through 8th. Then he'll also visit Oregon and Georgia, and USC might even squeeze in an official visit there as well because they shouldn't go down without a fight. If they do, that's bad. But could Texas win it? Yes. Am I going to go? Am I waiting for when these recruitments get real? Absolutely. And Silas Bolden, I love Silas Bolden. If he doesn't make an NFL roster, he'll be a star in the Canadian Football League, a star.
Hey, CJ Vogel came up with a perfect line last night. Silas Bolden was a year too early for Texas. Wouldn't he have been a perfect add to this group right now?
Yeah.
I mean, just a darn near perfect add. Handles punt returns. They got to have a punt returner this year. Extra piece in the pass game. Got to have an extra. I mean, just missed it by a year, in my opinion, at Texas. Yeah. I thought CJ was really, really accurate with that statement.
Jeff Carey asked when does the portal open for basketball? Open Monday, goes through April 22nd. I will say, I think more guys will jump in the portal in basketball. I think there will be patience is key, but some of the numbers being thrown out right now, I think they're always a little inflated or a lot inflated, but they're out of whack.
Well, some of them are still playing basketball. The Sweet 16 starts tonight.
It starts tonight. Yep.
And so some of those guys could lose tonight and in the portal tomorrow.
No doubt.
All right, guys. Well, we talked tight end recruiting, but Clint wants to talk about current tight ends on the team. And Clint, thank you for your super chat. What tight end is turning heads the most or looking like as of now to be the starting at this early point in spring football?
We're in practice 2 right now. So to be fair, there's been 1. Jordan Washington's number 1 and Spencer Shannon's number 2 in the rotation. Will Randall was 3 and Emory Winston 4 in the first spring practice when they were going through drills. That's where the pecking order was on day 1, Bobby.
Yeah. Look, I think that if you're talking about an inline blocker right now, you're talking about Spencer Shannon. If you're talking about a flex guy, you're talking about Jordan Washington. I think Jordan Washington has some work ahead of him still. Like, he came in as a former basketball player, and he's still got some heavy work ahead of him. He's got to get in the weight room and get stronger, tone up his body, etc. Spencer Shannon is a little bit ahead of him in that regard. So we'll see where that nets out at the end of the year. The one that did make a really, really highly impressive catch on during Tuesday's practice was Emory Winston. Jerry and I and CJ, Jeff Howe, we all saw it. It was above his body, away from him, and he literally snatched it and just kept running full speed. He's a talented young man. And to Jackson Miles' point here, I wish Nick Townsend was there. Yes, you do. I'm telling you, maybe the most underrated player of this class was Emory Winston, based on what I saw. Is that a fair statement potentially, Jerry? Maybe the most underrated player of the class so far? Have to go back and look at the ratings, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. We'll see on that. I mean, that always comes down to your 3-star ranked guys, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It is.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got some more questions here. Ivory Martin wants to know, will we see more under center with Arch this season?
Good question. It's a good question. I think so, because I think you're going to see more waggles and more moving of the pocket off play action, Bobby. I think you're going to see a little bit more of that. So the answer, I think, naturally is going to be yes. Is it going to be a high percentage more? I can't say that. But you're definitely
say 3rd and 1, the quarterback sneak is possible, Jerry.
Right.
So he's immediately under the center for that, right? So
yeah, I think one thing with Arch, because of the mobility, is you can use him under center to get the defense false stepping more. And you can use them under center and use misdirection play action with Arch and get him on the move more, move the pocket more. I think that's going to be a natural part of what Sark does to mess with the eyes of the defense. Now, how high a percentage of that could come down to who you're playing, how your matchups are, where you're at in game, down and distances, all your situational football. But I do think you're going to see that more with Arch, because that is one of the things when you have a quarterback that's mobile, you can you can mess with the eyes of the defense a little bit more early in plays.
Yeah. I think you'll see him more too. I also think Sark wants to do more deep play action.
Yeah.
Like true deep play action where you sprint left to try to fake a deep handoff, then roll back right a little bit. It's like a half roll and then throw deep down the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they were practicing that on Tuesday. They never did that really except out of a shotgun with Quinn. Right? I could see Arch doing that a little, to Jerry's point, doing that a little bit more often.
Our next question, fellas, comes from Frank. And Frank says, what will we see first this year? 1,000-yard rusher or 1,000-yard receiver?
It better be running back.
You think so? Even if Baxter's healthy?
I just don't. I think Trey Wisner, especially early in the season, look, you have San Jose State. I mean, Sam Houston, blah, blah, blah. But I also think for this team, I think that's going to be big because of the things we just talked about with Arch, with how Sark wants to use Arch. The only way your play action and downfield passing game works is if you have a true threat in the run game. There's got to be a real balance to that, or people can play with more depth in the secondary and at the safety position, and it's going to change the visuals for Sark and Arch. So I think running back is more important. Do I think Wingo could have 1,000-yard season? Yeah, I do. But I would like to see Wisner hit it first because that means they're running the ball with success.
So I'm looking at last year's stats. Blake, I'd love you to bring up, if you can.
Yeah, well,
I would love you to bring up the Texas receiving stats from last year, just off of ESPN. I'm looking, Jerry. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
Okay? Golden 58 for 987. He averaged 17 a pop. Okay. Gunnar Helm 60 for 786. He averaged 13 a pop. Isaiah Bond 34 for 540, 15.9. Ryan Wingo 29 for 472, 16.3. Now, Ryan Wingo had 10 fewer catches than DeAndre Moore. Okay. But he had more yardage, Jerry.
Yeah.
I mean, he was averaging 16.3, DeAndre Moore 11.7. At my thought process here is I think Texas is going to have 1,000-yard receiver probably sooner than they will 1,000-yard back. I expect that to be Ryan Wingo at this point.
By the way, the crazy thing about that, Isaiah Bond was on pace for 1,000-yard regular season when he got injured.
Yes.
That's the crazy thing there when you look back at that.
But, hey, look, the other thing that I want to talk about, and this is how much do you think that the average reception yardage is going to be heavier or larger with Arch? Because I do. Like, I don't know if the completion percentage is going to be as high, but I think that the average reception yardage is going to be higher. Like, I could see Ryan Wingo being 17.5 or the second. I don't see, for example, DeAndre Moore's average length per reception being 11.7 next year. It's going to be more in that 13, 14, 15-yard range, Jerry. Because if things are going well, yes. If Texas can't run the football, I don't know. Like if Texas, you have to be able to. I think you really have to be able to run the football effectively to adjust how the secondaries and the linebackers play against Texas. That's what's going to be so fascinating to me is about next season is every team that plays Texas knows Sark wants to throw it deep and Arch wants to throw it deep. Yeah. So how are they going to play Texas? That's going to be interesting to see. That's why I kind of wonder if the Ohio State game may dictate a lot of this.
if Arch has success against Ohio State throwing it down the field, then what's going to happen? The next few games, the run game is just going to be like, because those teams aren't going to be able to play. Those teams are going to have to play with depth. And then you're going to be playing with light boxes, going and running against light boxes. I think it's going to be interesting, kind of fascinating to see how it plays out. We know what Sark and Arch want to do, but what are the defenses going to give them?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's funny. I was talking to a coach yesterday, Jerry, that you and I know, and he asked me one of the things, is Arch checking it down? And I was like, it's first practice. Of course, of course not. Right. But from a coaching perspective, that was like the first thing he asked, because he knows there's going to come a time that deep ball, they're going to take it away from you. He's going to have to check it down. But I still think that run game, if it is good enough, to Jerry's point, we're going to see the average reception yardage go up.
Agree, 100%.
Yeah. If everything comes together as hoped, I guess.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, that over and under we talked about earlier today about number of wins could change.
All right, Bobby, before we move on, you let everyone know about Vaughn Lane one last time.
Yeah, absolutely tired of the hassle of flying or driving. Skip the airport stress and highway headaches. Travel in first-class comfort with Vaughn Lane, the luxury motor coach service connecting major Texas cities. Now Vaughn Lane's even expanded into the Southeast, offering routes between Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, with spacious reclining seats, complimentary snacks, and drinks on every trip, and meal service on select departures. Vaughn Lane makes travel stress-free and comfortable. Need to relax? Enjoy hot towel service, eye mask, pillows, blankets, all included. Stay productive with high-speed Wi-Fi and power outlets at every seat. Man, they don't have that on flights. I'll just put it that way. Upgrade your travel experience today. Visit vaughnlane.com and use promo code OTF25 for $20 off your first trip. Vaughn Lane, first-class travel without the hassle. I really appreciate those guys coming on board as a sponsor of On Texas Football.
By the way, I just wanted to say before we get out of here, Sweet 16 tonight. I know obviously a lot of people will be watching. There's some unbelievable matchups tonight. Like BYU and Alabama, the winner could be in the high 90s. Maryland and Florida, Kevin Willard, one of the better coaches in college basketball people don't talk about. That's a tremendous game. Arizona and Duke, and Arizona gave up 100. They gave up 100 to Arizona State earlier this year. I fear for them defensively in this game. Arizona's going to have to bring their best defensive game. That game could be decided in the 90s. Then you have Arkansas and Tech, baby, if you just want to hate a game and while you watch it. You got Arkansas and Texas Tech tonight. I mean, there's some tremendous games. These are going to be fast-paced, high-scoring basketball games. We'll see if Willard can slow down Florida its pace tonight. But that BYU-Alabama game should be a fast one. Arizona-Duke should be played at a really high level. I think tonight, sometimes it goes the opposite way. Maybe teams just have an off night shooting a three. But I could see the winner of 3 of these games being in the 90s tonight and somebody touching 100. It should be a great night to watch college basketball, by the way.
I am going to watch. I will say this. I'm going to watch BYU Alabama as much as I can. And to your point, I may hate watch Arkansas Tech. I want to just do a little hate watch on that one.
We have a super chat here, fellas, from Texas Operator 69. Thank you so much for that. He says, be honest, is the running back room as it sits right now good enough to get us to the big show?
Man, so Bobby, Penn State has the best running back room in America, right? Returning. Outside of that,
they got 2 high draft picks.
Yeah, but outside of that, I mean, Florida with Jaden Ball, but what's their depth? Montrell Johnson's gone. Look, I think, is it good enough to get Texas to the big show? It was last year, and guys are older this year. I mean, Jaden Blue for me wasn't really a runner. He was a receiver. So Texas will miss Jaden Blue in the passing game. In the run game, I don't think they're going to miss him at all. And I'm not taking a shot. It's just what I believe. There wasn't, because of the fumble issues, then there wasn't – he was never really a fit in the Texas run scheme. tremendous out of the backfield, just tremendous. But Texas is going to be better in the run game this year. I firmly believe that at the running back position. Now, those guys have to stay healthy this year.
I would have answered this question potentially differently 2 days ago. That's how high I am on Christian Clark. So I was a proponent literally on Sunday of this past week of Texas looking at a potential running back in the portal, someone that could run inside zone that I felt comfortable with, et cetera. Okay. I was a proponent of that. Okay. Didn't know if they would based on Tashard Choice's comment 3 months ago to Jerry and CJ and those guys. Okay. I was a proponent of that. Then I saw Tuesday's practice. And now I see a Christian Clark that can be an inside zone guy. And then your ticket is Cedric Baxter getting better and healthier. So I don't see, literally 3 days ago, I would have said, yeah, Texas could take a guy in the portal. And I'm not talking about an elite dude that's got 1,500 yards or something. They could have taken a guy in the portal to help. Now I'm saying, they don't really need a portal guy. So yes, the answer in that regard, as we answer the question, Texas is right now graded for me on, are they good enough to get to the show? Are they good enough to win a national championship? I think that if Baxter returns healthy over time, Christian Clark comes along, Jarrett Gibson comes along, James Simon, we see what happens. Adding into Trey Wisner, adding a little good weight, which he did and has been doing. I mean, he looked different, Jerry, to us physically. Yeah. He did. I mean, he adds 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 7 pounds. I mean, it's just going to look different on that frame. I think they're going to be fine at running back. I had some trepidation 3 days ago. Then I watched practice and said, now I get it. I'm fine at running back. I think they're fine.
And our final one for today, fellas, comes from Brendan Bowersox. Thank you, Brendan. He said for the question, he says, what's the goal for points per game on offense and allowed points per game on defense? He says, personally, he'd go 38 on offense and around 22 on D.
So a 16-point win on average. I would be fine with that. I think you have to recalibrate that based on the conference, right? There was a time when the Big 12, you'd like to be 30, I mean, hell, in the Big 12, you'd like to be 40, some of those guys, but Texas wasn't that good on offense. I think that Texas needs to be in the 36 to 38 range. And I do, as of right now, I'm having a hard time knowing whether or not I think they're going to take a step back on defense. And I think that may be outside of receiver, that may be the biggest question for me, Jerry. Do you think Texas takes a step back on defense, losing what they lost with Alfred Collins, Jahdae Barron, Andrew McCuba, Barron Sorrell? Those are good football players, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answer yet. I need to see what happens after the spring. Not early in the spring, after spring, in the portal. It does look, a lot of my stuff is if Texas doesn't go after a corner in the portal, they feel really good about what they have. If they, that's kind of telling for me. If they don't even look at it, they feel really good about that position. And we know from Sark, look, there's no playing for second place here. If they have a need, they're going for it.
Yep.
D-line, look, they want a disruptor out of the portal. If they don't end up going after anybody, that's pretty good sign for the D-line too. So we'll see on that. I think they're going to be so good rushing the passer from so many different spots. It makes them interesting. Could they be better? Could they just be about the same? They're going to be better from a pass rushing standpoint for sure, I think.
I agree.
And I think that could even them out some. Offensively, what's interesting, so if you look at the teams that were in the playoffs last year, Your high-scoring team was Indiana, 38.3. Notre Dame was actually 36.1, but look at their schedule. Duncanville played a harder schedule. Boise State was 35.8. Oregon was 35.7. Ohio State, 35.7. And then Clemson, 33.4. Penn State, 33.1. Texas, 33. Arizona State, 32.9. Tennessee, 32.9. So to that kind of gives you your ballpark of all those teams. Southern Methodist, 34.8. Sorry, I was looking for SMU outside, and it was listed as Southern Methodist instead of SMU as it should be. So that's kind of a look at your teams and what they averaged last year. I agree with Bobby. Ideally, you want to be in the 34.5 to 36 range offensively in points per game.
I think being 38 is asking a lot in the SEC.
Yeah.
That's asking a lot. But, if you get fat on the hog when you're playing San Jose State and Sam Houston State,
right,
things like that are possible.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Vaughn Lane. We want to thank Vaughn Lane along with Huel, Factor, and Ridge Wallet, all for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in and the great questions, the super chats. Bobby, what do you have later today?
We got a lot of stuff. We got football theory coming up. We also have a winning drive episode with Rod, Coach Shipley, as well as CJ Vogel. News and notes. Jerry is breaking some news. We talked about Xavier Crowell on campus earlier today. We also have guys coming in over the weekend. Jalen Lott, Boobie Feaster, those guys. A lot of news and notes on the 40 acres, basketball portal, etc. But as much as the news, I want to say this about ontexasfootball.com and what we want it to be. As much as it is a news breaking site where we're going to post news, we want you guys to talk with us and create a community at On Texas Football that you guys feel comfortable talking about different sports, etc. Join us at ontexasfootball.com. Make sure you go to the topics and the message boards. Jerry, myself, Blake, CJ, Jeff Howe, we're all there each and every day. Just come by and talk to us. You'll get to know us a little bit more, as well as join the community and become an OTF OG for $49.95 for 1 year. That is a first-time membership offer. Again, OTF OG. Use that promo code, and you get $10 off your subscription. But join us over there and talk a little football, talk a little Texas action, no matter the sport. Baseball too, right, Blake?
By the way, when you're on the road, you do weird things. And so during this show, I was double fisting coffee and Diet Pepsi. I don't really suggest that combo. You got to try everything once, but that wasn't the best combo to start the morning with. I may have to go lay down for an hour.
Oh.
Hey,
and that's Donald.
Sorry. Hey, Blake, I was going to ask you, just finishing up here. Is there any talk about A&M's baseball program and what they're going to do over there? Because they're 0-6 in conference play. Is that, are they going to make a potential mid-year move, or is that off the table? Or have you heard anything? I know you keep track of baseball statewide pretty much.
Yeah, and I feel like I have a pretty good source over there when it comes to Texas A&M baseball, and I don't think we'll see a mid-year move. But it really, really would not surprise me to see an end of season move, even though it's year one. Now, remember, we talked about this last week. He does have a guaranteed contract, nearly $4 million if they fire him without cause before, I think, 2028, I believe. So they'll owe him some money if doing so. But from what I was told a week ago, if things do not change, and they haven't changed yet because they got swept this weekend, then there will be an end of season move that is made. So we'll see.
You made the hire just to screw Texas, and what happens when you do that? You got to make hires for yourself, man.
Yeah,
I was about to say, then you screwed yourself.
Yeah.
By the way, checked out Texas Sad State of Affairs. They're discussing equestrian. I just looked up the national college equestrian rankings, Bobby. I bet you've never done that before. Texas, Auburn is ranked 1, SMU 2, TCU 3, A&M 4, Oklahoma State 5. Georgia has equestrian. Wow, 6. South Carolina 7. Baylor 9. If y'all needed the equestrian ranking. So A&M's checking it at 4. Now they have the worst record of those teams. They're 7-6, so they got to pick it up in equestrian a little bit too, but that's where they're ranked.
I love horses, but I'm not. I don't think I've ever watched a full equestrian event.
Maybe you can check out meat judging after you get done with the equestrian there, Jerry.
Well, Lincoln Riley is last in that. I confer out of 3. That's like NCAA basketball. There's like 364 teams that compete. Like Lincoln Riley's 364 in that.
Hey, one other thing I wanted to add, Bobby, some more bad news is the other night, their first baseman, Gavin Cash, one of their better players, he's out with back issues, so things could get a lot worse.
Are you talking about A&M? A&M.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. It pains me. It pains me to hear that.
Oh, by the way, Brandon Huey, Austin Rodeo tonight. That is true. There's people all in the hotel I'm staying at. I don't know if Bobby noticed it, they're a part of putting on the Austin Rodeo. So I've heard a lot of Austin Rodeo talk around breakfast down in the lobby. So Austin Rodeo tonight and tomorrow.
That shade next to over your right shoulder, Jerry, looks like it could be part of a clown costume.
Yeah,
just for the record.
Hey, by the way, the first time I knew A&M had equestrian was when Tom Selleck's daughter signed there as an equestrian. Weird thing. Well, I liked Magnum PI growing up, so when I saw Tom Selleck was on campus at A&M, I was like, "Well, you're clearly not filming an episode of Magnum PI in College Station. So what are you doing there?" And his daughter had signed with A&M and equestrian.
This episode got weird at the end.
Yeah.
TC did not fly him in on his helicopter, though.
This is what happens when they don't open media availability. That's what happens. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you haven't already, we would definitely appreciate if you'd hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on quality Magnum PI content just like this each and every day right here on Texas Football. But we will be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see